Today, we're diving into the absolute peak of the global property market. We're talking super prime real estate. And what's wild is that right now, that world is splitting right down the middle. It's giving us this incredible tale of two cities, and they're both being defined by one single powerful force. So you got to ask the big question, right? After all these years of just insane sales and prices that kept going up and up, is the party finally over for luxury housing? It's a question that really gets to the heart of everything that's happening right now. Well, the answer seems to start with this number, negative 29%. I mean, just look at it. It's sharp, it's stark, and it practically screams for an explanation. What in the world is that all about? That number, that's the drop in the total value of super prime home sales across the entire globe. And get this, that's not over a year. That's in just 3 months. To see a drop of nearly a third in a single quarter, that's a genuine shock to the system. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to unpack this giant headline number and try to figure out what's really behind this global cool down in elite real estate. Is this a total collapse, or is there something a little more subtle going on? First things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page. When we say super prime, we're not just talking about fancy houses. We're talking very specifically about homes that sell for over $10 million. And we're tracking this across 12 of the world's biggest luxury markets. You know, this is the playground for the ultra wealthy. And this chart really lays it all out. You can just see that cliff edge drop from the second quarter to the third. The total value of sales, down 29%. The actual number of sales, down 21%. But, and this is a really important but, even with this big slowdown, the market is still running hotter than it was before the pandemic. So perspective is key here. And here is where the story gets really interesting. This global cooldown, it's not happening everywhere, not by a long shot. Some cities are definitely pulling back, but you've got others that are completely defying the trend and are actually still growing. So this isn't one story. It's a bunch of them all happening at once. So let's jump into the first, and maybe the most surprising of these stories. While the rest of the world seems to be hitting the brakes, New York is showing some serious resilience. So why is the Big Apple playing by a completely different set of rules? Well, check this out. As the global market was cooling, New York came in at number 2 globally for sales, over $10 million. That's second only to Dubai. I mean, think about that. In a declining market, that is an incredibly powerful position to be in. So what's the secret sauce here? Well, it's a pretty potent mix. First, you've just got a massive pool of buyers. Second, Wall Street compensation has been near all-time highs, so there's a ton of cash flowing. And third, the policy environment is seen as being pretty stable and pragmatic. You put all that together, and the city itself just becomes a magnet for money. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The experts on the ground feel the same way. Jonathan Miller, who is a huge voice in the New York market, he basically sees this recent dip as just a temporary blip. He points out that the fourth quarter is often when the really, really high end of the market takes off, which suggests New York's strength is far from over. All right, now let's flip the coin over. Because if New York is a story about resilience, London is a cautionary tale. It is almost the perfect mirror image of everything we just talked about. And this table just shows you how fast the whole game can change. Just a couple of years ago, in 2022, London was the undisputed number 2 super prime market on the planet, a global titan. Now, fast forward to the third quarter of 2024, and it's crashed all the way down to 6th place. That's not a slowdown, my friends. That's a free fall. So what happened? It's not like London suddenly became a less amazing city. Its appeal is as strong as it's ever been. No. The real problem here, the culprit behind this massive slide, is all about the perception of its tax and policy environment among the world's wealthiest people. All this uncertainty has created this really powerful wait-and-see mindset. Buyers are pumping the brakes. Why? Well, you've got threats of new wealth taxes floating around, proposed changes to the rules for what they call non-domiciled residents, wealthy foreigners, and just a general political vibe that feels a lot less welcoming to big money. And this brings us to what I think is the real key to this whole story. The big thing setting cities apart in today's super prime market isn't just about economics anymore. It's about a new force that is totally reshaping global real estate, and that force is policy. I mean, this slide just puts it all in perfect contrast, doesn't it? On one side, you have New York, being driven by Wall Street cash and a feeling of stability. And on the other, you have London, just clouded by question marks about new taxes and this general feeling of decline. It's a perfect picture of two cities on two totally different paths. So the most important takeaway here is this. The main story in global real estate today isn't just about making money anymore. It's about this really complicated dance between politics, government policy, and how private wealth decides to react to all of it. So where does that leave us? What happens next? Let's look ahead to 2025 and beyond and try to understand the bigger picture here. The future of the superprime market seems to boil down to a pretty simple two-part rule. Cities and markets that are seen as welcoming capital, they're going to win. And those that are seen as just looking for new ways to tax it, they're going to lose. It's that simple. It's a competitive advantage built on policy and perception. And based on everything we're seeing, New York is doing everything it can to stay firmly on the winning side of that equation. It's mixing a pro-business attitude with a stable environment that makes wealth feel safe. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Are these elite property markets just a simple reflection of global economic growth anymore? Or have they actually become something else? Maybe they're a real-time experiment, a live test of how the world's greatest cities choose to treat success itself.